I'm Allie. I came out after 20 years of marriage and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melissa and I have 2 kids and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles. Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles, where we have a very exciting.
I'm so excited for this guest, like so excited.
Same.
It's funny, when I was texting you that night to tell you about the guest that we had, I was like, I know it's late. I don't know that she's going to text me back. I text Marina. Marina didn't text me back. And I'm like, I need to talk to someone.
Yeah, we're like, is my phone broken?
Yeah, but I'm also like, it's 11 o'clock. Like, no one's awake except for me. So, but yes, like, Rosie agreed to come on the podcast, and this interview is fantastic. She was so pleasant, so kind.
Yes.
And I really think the biggest takeaway from this is just that, like, she's not just like a comedian, a host and an actor, all those things. She's a mom and an activist and just an all around like great human.
Wonderful human being.
So I just really appreciate that. And like, I think that's something that more people need to kind of consider with the things that celebrities do with their lives and their fame.
I agree. And I think like I've loved her a long time. I've always been a fan. And I have a friend who is a diehard fan who got me into her years and years ago. And she, even back then when she started adopting children, I mean, she was an activist for adoption. She was an activist in children's theater. And I think people don't always remember that. They know her from her movies, they know her from comedy, but it's so much more than that. Like anything she's involved in, she puts herself out there. And I think what I took away from the interview also is just how unguarded and real she is. I mean, talking about her daughter with autism and her, anything. I mean, there was just like nothing was off limits. I felt this sense of like, we could have gone to dinner and had an amazing conversation. She's so disarming. I didn't feel nervous even for a second for some reason.
Yeah, she is very disarming, just very chill, very cool. And yeah, has a lot of important causes that she speaks up for. And on top of that, if you really think about the long-spanning career that she's had, like that's a really difficult thing to accomplish, especially as like an out lesbian woman. Like, she's been in such amazing movies that are still classics today. Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like I kind of forget about that part where she's playing the best friend. But that's one of my favorite movies on the planet. And then League of Her Own.
Oh, huge.
Amazing. That's how my kids knew her. I was driving my kids to school. And of course, I still haven't really talked to anyone about this interview that we've landed. And I'm like, guys, I'm interviewing Rosie O'Donnell today. And they're like, who's that? And I'm like, League of Their Own. And they knew immediately once I said that.
Yeah. All my teenagers, my teenagers both knew exactly who it was. And my son, who, is gay, Owen, was like, gay icon. Like, yes. He loves her. So everybody was, I think it's interesting. Yeah. Cause she kind of crosses all generations.
She really does. And that her talk show too was so great. I remember coming home from school and watching that every day.
Same.
Like,
wanted
to be on it so bad. I wanted to catch a koosh ball in the crowd.
Right. She also has her podcast now. I'm a listener. I was a listener before we had her on Onward. If you don't listen, it's a fantastic podcast. She has great guests. And so that's another thing to check out.
Yeah. I just started listening to that a couple weeks ago. And the thing that really prompted me to listen to it was the interview that she had with one of the Menendez brothers.
Lyle.
Was it Lyle?
Yep.
Like just the voice that she's given to them.
I know.
In that case is really incredible.
Right.
And like she's just doing so many good things. So I feel honored that she wanted to come on our podcast.
Same. And I just adore her, adore her. I loved her before. I love her even more now. Beautiful on the inside and out.
Well, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Well, yes, we have a very, very special person joining us today, the lovely, amazing, legendary, really, Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes. Thank you, Rosie.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to come on your show as often as you ask.
100%.
Last night, Melissa must have texted me very, very late to tell me that she's like, you're never going to believe who's coming on. And I go to bed very early, Rosie. So when I woke up this morning at like 6 o'clock, I'm getting the kids out to school. I see this text that's like, you'll never believe who's coming on. And I was
But I left it on the cliffhanger. I didn't say.
She left me on the cliffhanger. And then also I know she sleeps a little later than me. So I had like this 2-hour just window of who
was going through your mind? Who were you thinking?
I never
Christy
would have
McNichol,
dreamed.
Christy McNichol.
I couldn't even think of who. Like I didn't dream you. Like I was like, who could
Like,
she be
this is
talking
top
about?
tier.
This is
Top
top tier. She
Oh,
went
well,
top
that's
tier.
so nice. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, listen, I think the TikTok is a great invention. And it's for things like women who come out late in life and need others to talk about their experience to, or like for me, raising an autistic child and now raising a non-binary child and raising a child who has asked to have their name changed. You know, like there's things that I get so much help from by these strangers that I've met on this thing that I've formed friendships with in actual real life as well, you know?
Wow.
People that you just connect to in a way that nothing could prepare us for before TikTok, you know?
I'm still,
I
think
totally
I'm the last
agree.
person. I still haven't gotten on there
Allie
yet.
has not gotten on the TikTok train, but I feel
Listen,
the same
Al,
way.
I got to tell you something.
Tell me something.
It's what people say about drugs.
Okay, it's
that,
addictive.
That they took, like they went on heroin. I don't know from this, right?
Okay.
I smoked pot. I drink a little.
Yeah.
I'm not a ayahuasca girl.
Okay.
I'm never going to be brave enough to do anything like
Likewise.
that. Right?
Likewise.
Like ayahuasca to me sounds like the worst night of my life. Secondary
kidding.
only to the Met Ball in New York City. Like I wake up nightmares thinking I have to go to the Met Ball. You know?
Oh my God.
That's how I am about the Nutcracker.
That's how I feel about Burning Man. Burning Man sounds like a nightmare.
Same thing.
Now listen, I'm good friends with Ricki Lake, and she is the loveliest, most feminist, most actualized woman that I love her so much. I tell her she's my spirit animal.
Oh, yeah.
Because she does things that I'm totally not brave enough to do. Like this Burning Man, which I believe was her 5th or 6th. She said was the best one ever.
Really?
Yes, she went with her husband. She's so in love. It was his first time. They had I'm like, what about the flooding and
the
she goes,
cement ground?
She goes, it's always muddy. It's all, it's going to be muddy.
Oh,
Wow.
fair enough. She probably had a Lux RV or something back there.
Right.
No, I know her very well. She didn't. She had
didn't.
a rented RV, but it wasn't like she had like what people do there. A bunch of her friends have been going for years. And it's like, if you're brave enough to be a hippie, come on down. And, I'm really not.
No. So so TikTok, would you say, is that sort of wild land? Like once you get on, you love it. But
I don't know if it's worth the distraction from your real life.
Yeah. Instagram
and that's the truth.
Me. Instagram distracts me.
I totally agree with that because it's addictive. You are getting
it is very
dopamine
addictive.
after dopamine hit.
Yes, and you can cater what you're seeing to the dopamine response. So I get lots of monkeys who are friends with a duck.
I do love friendly monkeys.
Come on. And the piglet raises the kittens. I could do this all day, right? And sometimes I do. I sit there and I put on a game show and I wait for my kid to come home and I hope the school doesn't call. And
just get lost on it.
You can get lost on it. Now, you go deep dives into some very interesting things, but it would be wonderful if it was only available once a week for an hour for everyone. There should be like a rule, like how we used to have to wait for the next episode of Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
And if you missed it, you missed it.
Too bad.
This is my kids right now with The Simpsons. They're watching it on Disney Plus and they're blowing through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no
this
idea.
took me years to get to this
Thank
point.
you.
You have no
Thank
idea
you.
what it's like.
But
And dreaming of the people. I remember Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda. I used to think, oh, I wonder what Mary Tyler Moore is doing. Mary Richards, where is she right now? I used to like have these elaborate love affair relationship with what innately was our internet, the TV, celebrity.
Yeah, it's true.
Fame, the illusion.
Right.
And
Like
that was
people-
like your escape, right? When you were a kid. I read that
Listen,
before, like
it
you
was
were
something
watching
that
TV.
It was, yes. My mother died when I was 10, and there were a bunch of kids and a dad who was facing his own stuff. And it was, it was tough, man. There were neighbors that were great to us. And,
Right.
listen, we never went hungry. We weren't, but we weren't the, when there's a mother there, usually, but unless God forbid something is seriously wrong, there's a lot of nurturing,
True.
I think, a lot of love,
Are your kids on there too with TikTok?
Yeah, my daughter's
Yeah.
at college. She's 20 years old and
Okay.
she's on TikTok, and she's the one who got me on it during the pandemic.
Okay.
I was so depressed, and she's like, I'm telling you, Mom, you would love this. I'm like, the world is ending. There's no reason to get out of bed. And she made me do a dance or something, or some first TikTok, and I did it. And then people responded because, I don't know why, but so then I kept doing them, and then I learned it as I went. And then I was like so fascinated by these child prodigies. I would be like, this kid must be reincarnated. Then I went down the people who've been reincarnated. Then it's very, very addictive. It's like that, the movie Dope Sick, with, where the family that, I forget their name, Sackler family. They knew how bad the opiates were.
Couldn't stop.
And they did it anyway.
Right.
And it's a little bit like that with our brains and the internet.
Right. I would
But
agree.
I also feel like, like you're saying, though, there's so many good messages that you're getting out of it, and so much stuff that you're learning in the process. Like, so many people look at it like, oh, you're just watching people dance all day. And it's like, no,
No.
like
Melissa's
Right.
studying.
I learned so
Melissa's
many
studying.
things about I am like relate.
Exactly.
This is my study hour
That's
for
what I'm
4
studying
hours
for.
a day.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about relationships and parenting,
Yeah.
breakups. I just went through a breakup, and it's like, it is amazing how it like locks in on like what you need in your life right now.
Yes,
And
because it's
helps
a
you
great
through it.
algorithm. It's better than anyone has developed here in our country so far. And, all that stuff about, oh, China, we're going to have to close it down. Why? Because you want to steal what they made and you can't.
No.
And they've already created the best one that there is. You want to steal it, make a better one.
Yeah, it's valid. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Hello, Facebook. Somebody has said Facebook, oh, we're done. We're never going to be able to do. Well, how about a little thing called Instagram? How about Pinterest? How about, and it's niche and niche and niche. And that's why I think that your topic of this podcast is so interesting and important, because you have to hear and see yourself represented in culture in order to feel that you're okay and that you exist and you're part of it.
Right.
And it's so vital to our growth and development as human beings,
It's true. Like
We
Melissa
talk
and I
about that all the
searched.
time. Like
Yeah.
when Allie and I met in group, it was like this life-saving moment of like, I'm not alone in this. And there's all these other people in this room in Atlanta that are going through this. And then starting the podcast, I mean, we've heard from people all over the world
Yeah.
that are going through this. And
Right.
it's just such an underrepresented group, like you said. And talking about it is the thing that gets you through it.
It's so true.
Yes, for sure. Everything, I believe. I mean, some people don't believe that. Some families, that's a big rule breaker if you're the one who wants to talk about everything,
True.
especially Irish Catholic families like mine, where there were
Mine.
stuff that they didn't want the neighbors to know. So
Right.
like my father would say, you don't air your dirty laundry in public. I was like, what? Laundry? What is he talking about? Like, when you're a little kid, a metaphor slips your head. But, it was a different time and a different place. But I look at the internet also as, the greatest gift to mankind, along with the worst toxin ever created.
Right.
At the same time. But my little kid, who is 10, is so in love with it. It has been a lifesaver.
Okay.
That they are able to find their group. And so they're into this thing called the Object Show community.
Okay.
And it's a YouTube series from 2009 where objects have little smiley faces and funny voices. So this one is called Cuppy. How you doing? How you doing, Candle? I'm all right, Cuppy. Have you seen Flame around? Nah, I think he got all burned up. It's like a little tiny cartoon strip.
Never heard
And
of this.
I went to the meet and greet because I don't even know if I can explain to you how addicted she is to this show and this program. And I went to the meet and greet, and it was full of autistic kids.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It was like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right.
That's what the show is giving to autistic kids. It was like, and she said to me, "This is my culture. These are my people." I said, "You are right."
But wait, did
These
the
are
show
your
set out to
people.
be that? Or did the show just become that because that's who
It
started
became
watching
that.
it? Oh, that's brilliant.
No, it became that because I read some studies on it or pages on it. And, when I was doing a deep dive to see how bad it was that she could recite every episode.
Right, of course.
And, that kids who are autistic or who are on the spectrum, who have autism, they equate objects with as much validity as a human.
Oh, wow. Okay, I've never heard that.
So that they, that they're things that comfort them. It's not always people. They don't always know It's a connection disorder, right?
Okay.
It's a disorder about, not being able to connect. And I was talking to somebody recently who said, "What do you think the opposite of addiction is?" And I said, sobriety. And they said, no, connection.
Ooh.
The opposite of addiction is connection. Right?
Wow.
So that's, it's pretty intense, I have to say.
Yeah.
But going through what we're going through, Dakota, Clay, and I, is so interesting for me as an out lesbian icon person.
Yeah.
Right? It's like my little kid is saying to me, when they were 9, some kids in my class don't even know their own gender. And I said, well, just tell them when they're in the bath to look in the mirror. And she says, "That's their sex, Mom.
Yeah.
That's binary.
Right.
Gender is infinite."
Oh, wow.
I know.
She was 9 years old.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
That's wild.
And then
they're so much smarter than us.
I know.
I started looking into it. I'm starting like, I'm an idiot. I never went to
she's
college.
right.
I should have taken a gender studies class. When I was at college, there wouldn't have been a gender studies class, right?
Yeah.
There would have just been like maybe, I don't even know. There wouldn't have even been any discussion of it.
Especially not as a Catholic. Come on.
Yes, for sure. How old are you guys, if you don't mind me asking?
No.
I'm 43 or almost 43.
And you are?
I just turned 49.
And how long ago have you left your spouses,
hetero,
your male spouses?
So I was married for almost 20 years, 19 years. And I think it would be, what are we going up on? Melissa and I do.
I think like 6 years.
6
Or
years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Both of you around the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, we were doing everything same
Right,
time. Like I think we got a divorce in the same month, but we're not together. It's not like we were like,
no.
we're gonna be together.
Right. You
We
just
met
were helping each other as you
On the same
swam
time.
out of the wreckage.
That's
Yes,
it.
100%.
Totally. She was my lifeline.
Yes.
And how jarring was it for you to discover, or was this something on the back burner always that you felt was forbidden, or did you meet someone and they made your head explode when they touched your hand, or how did it?
I met Kate McKinnon in my mind, and that's what switched
That's all
me
you
over.
needed was just
That's all I
the
needed.
concept of
that
Kate
was kind
McKinnon.
of like what pushed the domino was Kate
Okay.
McKinnon.
That's so great.
And it was one of those things where I was like, I'm the first idiot that didn't realize that they were gay when they were 16. And I thought, like, how am I supposed to come out? How am I supposed to do this? I'm going to be like, everybody's going to be like, oh, you're dumb. Like, how did you not know? Come to find out, not the first.
Right.
So,
And
and
I
then
think
Allie.
I always kind of knew, like all the way through. I went to Catholic school, K through 12. So it was never really even an option. And I wanted the life. I wanted babies. All I cared about was babies. I wanted
Me too.
babies, babies, babies. I'd still want a baby. Like if I could.
Me
I
too.
would, yeah.
I'm telling you the truth. Me
totally.
too.
Did you ever see the movie Grand Canyon?
Yes.
Okay, you know where the woman's jogging and she finds the baby?
Baby in the bushes.
Baby
yes.
in the bushes. Okay, that is my dream in life, that I'm going to find the baby in the bushes. I'm going to bring the baby home, and then the baby's going to need me to keep it, obviously. No one knows who the mom is.
You're talking to the converted here, so I don't think we should discuss this because both of us will end up with an infant.
It's
you
true.
know,
And I'd be
when I was
thrilled.
50, I got a phone call about a situation, and you know, I was like, I can either adopt a baby or have a facelift, and I chose the infant.
Yeah, of course.
And you know,
no
and
contest.
now they're 10 years old.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And that's the year that I got her when my other youngest kid, was 10. Do you understand? Wow. So every time a kid turns 10,
another one's
I'm
coming.
going like, maybe
it's time.
Yeah,
one
that phone
more.
call again.
Could I do one more? I mean, it's insanity.
But don't you feel like you could?
Yes, that's the insanity part of it. It's very insane. And, you know, my daughter, Chelsea, is about to give birth, and this will be her 4th child, and she's 26.
Oh, wow.
Does that feel it for you? Like to have, I know having grandbabies, people say will help me like down the road. My daughter's 20. She's in New York City and she can't wait to have a baby, but she's in college. But people are like, oh, she'll have babies and that'll be enough. But I'm like, I don't know that, like, I really do. I want a baby in a crib in my house.
Listen, my best friend Jackie has 2 kids and 2 grandkids, and she is the maddest in love, biggest, overwhelmingly happy. It's like she had the perfect kids who went to the perfect colleges and have the perfect spouses, and they each have one perfect baby. Okay. And Jackie gets to see the babies a lot, and the son is going to move closer. And that, to me, the joy of that kind of parenting and grandparenting, I'm looking forward to. Okay. But Chelsea ran away at 17.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And she really hasn't been home since.
Okay.
And she's 26, and, you know, she's had some issues with addiction.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm curious to see what choices are made, you know, for this baby, because trying to do 3 on your own in a place where your family is not
right
is very hard.
It is very hard. Know? Would she move closer to home?
It's complicated because the children's father lives there in Wisconsin, and it's a very remote part of Wisconsin, and they get a lot of help from his mother in regards to raising the kids. You know, there are lots of options and ways to help mothers who are unable to parent at this time in their lives, you know.
That's very true. What is it like having, like, would you say being a mother now with your youngest is Dakota? What's your youngest name?
Dakota. They also go by Clay.
Okay, so Clay, what's the difference now, would you say, raising at this age versus like the one 10 years ago? Like, how has it changed? Are you chill? Are you, what happens?
Well, I think I'm a completely different parent with each one of my children. I have 5 children, and my oldest is 28, and, you know, he and I were alone for all of it, and, you know, until the next baby came. And, you know, I'm a different person, as we all are, every year, every other year. You change, you suffer, you grow, you survive, you love. You're different. And I will say that at 61, with a 10-year-old, my only goal is surviving so that I can lead her into adulthood and safety for herself, you know? And I don't want to, because my mom died when I was 10. I don't want to leave her. And I'm afraid, you know, what would she do? Because autism is a very interesting journey, I have to say. It's really magnificent in some ways, but it is also like dealing with another kind of hybrid species.
Right. Would her
because
siblings, does she know her siblings with them being so much older?
yes,
Yes,
and
okay.
she loves them when she sees them, and she smiles when she sees them, but she has a hard time with connection. Like it's at this VidCon we went to, they were so kind of unsure how to start a conversation with the other kids who were autistic as well, and were sensing the same thing. And as a parent, you kind of watch from the sideline looking at the ball pit, hoping it's all going well, And I hear her, and her first line of communication to everyone is, "My favorite food is fried cheese."
Well, mine too. So.
To which most kids go random and
Oh,
walk
God.
away, and right. And one or two from the group will go, "Yeah, my food is tuna."
Yeah.
They'll find their little one, like little light beams that it's very interesting. It was since she was a little girl, and they used to dress in a lot of costumes, and we'd go through the airport, and then I'd see a dad holding the pinky of holding, his little kid's hand in the same princess outfit as her. And they would be like this, like soulmates finding each other, and and it was magical to see. And I didn't see it at all with my other children,
right?
With 4 other children, and I never had this before. It's a different kind of
Do you think you
had
play 25 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you could have handled this?
Right.
Like, and been so receptive?
I don't think so, because first of all, it's so new even to me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Chaz Bono came out, and Cher apparently had trouble with it at the beginning, and I defy anyone to not have lived in our society, in our culture, in this reality for this long, and has a clear understanding of the value and human dignity in each person and who they are. I think that they are teaching me.
For sure.
And they are, reminding me to connect always, no matter what you're doing and where you are. Meeting somebody on the internet that reaches out to you, you have the choice. You can connect or not connect, right? And you can't do it habitually. I can't do it all the time. Everybody has a life. But when you can connect to someone and do something, everybody wins, because connection's the name of the game, right?
Right.
While we're
alive.
And
I think that's something too that you've done repeatedly in your life. A big driver, if I remember right, with you coming out, was to speak up for same-sex parents who wanted to adopt.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then coming out, you became a representative for the LGBTQ community, and now here you are with an autistic, non-binary child, speaking up for that community.
Looking for every opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, listen, when a child is non-typical, there's a vulnerability that is heightened, and the parent connection, you become almost like a translator in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Because, what other people don't maybe get right away in interacting. Like, I feel as though I can totally understand where she is. She also is so smart.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
She's so smart. I have to, she got in trouble at school last week. She wrote the most beautiful letter that at the end of it was so heartbreaking and touching, but at the beginning was all telling this boy what was wrong with him. And she wasn't doing it to be mean. She's doing it because she doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? So
she has to tell the truth.
Right. This is how the letter goes.
Listen,
listen, listen, Liam.
Listen,
Starts
Liam.
like that. Listen, Liam.
Listen, Liam.
I'm really sorry that I put you in a headlock 3 times, but let's face it, I didn't hurt you, and you know it. In fact, part of the time you were laughing. The thing is, Liam, nobody really likes you in our class. Not me, not anyone. because she won't stop singing that stupid har 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 song. Liam, enough. Everybody has said it, but you will not stop. And that's why I'm forced to do what I did.
In the end.
That is amazing.
And then it was like a loving thing about, I don't know what's wrong with me. There could be something wrong with me. And she got, on herself. But first, man, she fired like every bullet in her gun.
I love it.
Poor little
love
Liam.
It too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
sounds
hysterical.
a little bit like Liam deserved it.
I know,
so,
Liam sucks.
Well, Liam
needs to be put
last
in his
year
place.
called her a psycho a lot, which upset her.
Excuse me,
then
Liam.
the mother said she tells him scary stories.
Okay, and
So I go home and go, honey,
Man.
do you tell scary stories to Liam? She says, well, one. I said, which one? Where's Waldo? I go, that's not a scary story. And she goes, oh, yeah? It was a dark, brooding night.
she changes it.
She has echolalia, which means it's a feature of autism. She is able to record and remember nearly everything she hears in the voice or dialect that she heard it.
What?
So she is reciting, yes. And I have videos. You can look on my Instagram.
This is unbelievable.
Or, you could see all of the videos of her doing it, right? It's crazy. And when she was a little girl, I have videos of her 3 years old going, Mom, you come over here for a moment, and talking like and people said, you adopted her from London? I said, no, California.
California.
Does she have a British nanny? No, she does not. She watches Peppa Pig. She saw
this
Peppa Pig.
This kid is brilliant, man.
They are brilliant. There's no doubt about it.
Not going to have a problem in the world.
No, it sounds like she can take care of her. They can take care of themselves.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get through. I have one more hour until school is over. And that will be Thursday with no phone call home. So that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell us, what is your day? Like, so do you drop them off at school in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. We get up about 7.
What is the day? What is a day with Rosie O'Donnell? Like, what would you do on a typical day?
Yeah. So today I got up at 7, got her ready, drove her to school.
Okay.
Dropped her off, told her about good behavior and using brakes inside your feelings. Mm-hmm. And
we all need
then
that.
I left, come home, get gas in the car, come in, and I do my podcast with a film director. And then I do one more recording thing that we needed for the podcast. And then I had a little bit of lunch, and now I'm doing this, and my kid will be home when we're done.
Okay.
And so then it's all her, all them, all the time, trying to get them to engage in ways other than the iPad. And there are things that we've been doing, like cutting off the amount of hours and, none of which she responds well to, but, they're not going out of the house. They're, myopically focused as autistic sometimes can do, and we're getting a guide dog from Guide Dogs of America, a service dog that's trained to deal with kids with autism and get them up and out of the house and moving and running and developing, again, connection, which is the most important thing, and deep pressure when she is having some stimming or body out of control actions. The dog can lay on top of her. She likes, like Temple Grandin needed her body squeezed in the, Temple Grandin, that famous autistic woman.
I don't.
Anyway. Okay. Well, anyway, that's okay. I'm older than you.
No, I know about, though, with sensory, with autistic kids, that they sometimes they do like heavy blankets, or they'll have brushes with their skin.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So she responds to that, obviously.
Yes. And it's hard for me because she sleeps in the bed with me, and in the middle of the night, she lays on top of me.
Okay.
And I'm like, honey, and a dog in her bed. And this dog has been trained to sleep in the bed with the person as a command.
So now it's all 3 of you.
So now they're going in her room.
Okay.
The dog and her, and we'll see how long that lasts.
Well,
that sounds so like such a normal.
I know, it really does.
Hey, Rosie O'Donnell is like one of us.
Well, what else do I do? The actors are on strike. Sometimes I see my friends for dinner. I have a chef who I've had for about 2 years now, who's keeping me healthy and eating the right food. So she comes over at like 5, and then we eat at 6. She showers, and then we all play Jeopardy, and then we go up to bed. And then I go through hoping that there's another Lost Australia on. Alone Australia, which is my favorite show.
I read that you were also a Succession fan.
Oh my
I
God,
am
was that
a lunatic?
Brilliantly
Best show
done.
I've seen in 10 years.
I agree. It's masterpiece theater at its
Masterpiece
best.
theater. I mean, literally, like I would stand alone in my pajamas in the dark, clapping from my bed. It's brilliant. Melissa,
and the actors were so great, and how they related to each other, and that Kieran Culkin is quite something, man. Although, they all were magical and masterful to watch them, I have to say.
Right. I was really sad when that ended because now I have nothing.
Well, what do you like?
Succession.
Okay, that's it.
What show I love that you were in that ended is Smilf.
Yeah, that was a great show.
I loved Smilf. That was a great show. That made me
there was
laugh
some
out loud.
stupid trouble on the set with some kind of Me Too-ish type allegations, but I don't know what the hell happened, but it was a shame because that woman, Frankie Shaw, who wrote it and starred in it, is a literary genius.
Yeah, it was.
And it was, I think, so authentic and real, and she captured moments that most people turn away from. So I was very sad to see that end.
Yeah, I was too.
That was a really good show.
Yeah.
So what kind of prompted me to make my TikTok the other day was I went to the Out on Film Festival in Atlanta, and they had a screening of the Matthew Shepard story. And I went in there knowing the Matthew Shepard story. It's something that's really like poignant to me because I think it's one of the things that happened in history that kind of kept me from realizing that I was gay, because I was just like, that's dangerous.
Yeah, I don't want to be killed.
No.
Right.
But what was so striking to me with the documentary is how long it took to get legislation passed. But I'm watching this and Rosie's popping up, sharing her story and her take on everything. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so great.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's quite good.
How did you kind of get involved in that? Like, how did you get that call?
The truth is, my friend Missy, who is a late in life lesbian, and she was married for 20 something years, and a Jewish girl from Beverly Hills, and, very hard for her to come out to her family, and had grown children who weren't happy. And she is now the head booker of all the Discovery networks. And she's like big up there. And so she said to me, would you come and speak on Matthew Shepard? And, I was like, wow, why would you pick me? And like, cause I don't know, to me, in some ways it affected all gay people, but boy, did it affect gay men, especially effeminate, small men who, are traditionally teased and ridiculed and harassed and beaten. It terrified them, I believe, in a way that, I don't think lesbians, there's a story of these lesbian campers, and I think the book was called 8 Bullets, and they went on the Appalachian Trail, and there was a man there, and they were intimate in the tent in the camp, and he shot 8 shots through. And somehow one partner carried the other partner all the way down the hill and then ran to the road to get her, and one passed away, and the one that passed away was not out to her family. And that story like ripped me apart.
Yeah,
and that's a story
how have I not heard this?
I don't know. I tried to buy the rights to make it into a movie.
Yeah.
And, the woman who survived now builds playgrounds in very troubled neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's a nonprofit, that's what she does with her life. And I think she's tried to move on. And doesn't want to be re-traumatized, as one could imagine, but it's an amazing story. I believe her first name is Claudia, if I remember, but 8 Bullets, I believe, is the name of the book.
Well, and you're so right, I do feel like we have this little protection and it's probably a lot that lesbians are sexualized,
Yeah, it's so true.
But yeah, gay men, I feel you're right. Like they walk around scared.
Right. And gay women who don't, who present masculine, who present, that they're threatening, and I was called a dyke once. I remember out in with a girlfriend when I was in my 20s, and I was like, is he talking to me? She goes, yeah. I go, how does he know? She's like, bro, but in my mind, I think I look like Pink, and everybody would, like a taste of that ice cream, but no. So, but women who really don't choose to, don't want to present in any typical feminine way are, harassed and beaten and killed as well for like the Brandon Tina situation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
would you say
that's a story that really,
that's another story watching that
my
movie.
World. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
If you're out in public now, does your celebrity protect you from harassment, or do you feel it still?
About gay things? No,
Yeah,
that was
like,
only like once. Like nobody's ever really called me gay, or I mean, some people say Trump to me sometimes, and I go, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice.
And I move on, because what can you do?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, my age is what's protecting me.
Okay.
Because when you're 61, and you've gray hair, you're kind of invisible in a way that you've never been before. And I kind of like it, because if I go out in the store with, just my kid and a sweatshirt on, unless I talk, people don't know.
Interesting. Wow. I would know, I have to tell you.
Well, some people come right over and go, Rosie!
Yeah.
But for the average person, you're just a mom or a grandma, they often think, walking with the kid in the supermarket or and people don't. Now sometimes they'll say, are you Rosie O'Donnell? And Dakota will say, yes, she is, but you don't know her.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. She's like your little bodyguard.
Yeah, she's like a little blunt little truth teller,
That's amazing.
Listen, Liam,
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, Liam.
Would you say aging, like I listened to an interview you did with Samantha Bee.
I love her.
I know. And you guys sort of talked about aging, and I feel like lately I'm starting to feel this kind of to your point, like the invisible, or maybe some signs of menopause are coming, and it's like no one really talks about it. And
we have to, because
yeah, we do.
Mine started at 40 and it was over, before I was 50, but it took a decade and it was horrifying.
Yeah.
And I saw women older than me in the supermarket or whatever, and I would get so angry because I thought, why didn't you tell us?
Right.
Why didn't you warn us?
No one said anything. My mother didn't even say anything, really. I mean, and I just feel like I wonder about that. Like, how is your aging? How is that feel? Like
first my mom died at 39. So you have to remember I'm 61. I'm getting like close to almost double, right? I mean, she didn't hit 40 and I'm past 60.
Right.
That feels like I'm on a tremendous extended play on the game, and that feels miraculous. And I want to live long to see my grandkids get married.
Of course.
And, I want to do all that. It scares me that I might not be able to, just because, life happens, right? Life happens. You do your best. I mean, look at Linda McCartney was a vegan, right? For years, never had ate twigs. She was the healthiest person in the world. She gets cancer. Who's to say, right?
I'm a worrier times 1,000. Like everything for me goes right to cancer. I have one little thing and I'm like, I'm sure this is it, guys.
Do you have anyone who died of it that you think that?
No, I don't know why I'm like this. Like it drives everyone nuts. Like I'm a worrier about everything though. Like I worry when I fly. I worry like I'm doing the sign of the cross. I'm going back to my Catholic upbringing so for me, I hear that. Like I'm always thinking about what's it going to be as I'm getting older, or like, is this menopause, or what is this?
Well, if you're sweating at night and you feel as though someone peed on you in the bed, that's you. And you didn't pee. It's every pore in your body ejecting water all the fucking time. Once I was starting to date this woman, and I was walking through a department store. She needed to get some perfume or something. I was like, oh, happy day. And my back looked like I had just gotten out of the pool and put on my button down shirt. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
yeah, it was the most embarrassing date of my life.
Right, I guess.
I mean, you got splashed by some water on the way.
That's it. It's exactly.
Yeah, you couldn't really see that. You couldn't see it at all. It's
Sure.
one thing that we didn't think when we were having children, all of us, I take it. And how many do you have?
I have 2. Mine
And
are 8
old?
or 9 and almost 11.
9 and 11. And do you get along with your ex?
Yes. We're
Good.
actually all having dinner tonight for my daughter's
Great.
birthday.
Great.
So, yeah, he's a solid human.
He is a
Good.
solid
And
human.
how about you? Do you have somebody
likewise.
to?
I have
Yes.
4, and I also get along very well with my ex. Like, he's one of my
That's
dearest
good, too.
friends. Yeah, no
Yeah,
issues
I think
there.
it's so important. And I think, when somebody, especially a woman, decides that she's gay, it doesn't hurt so much for the man as it would if they left him for a man. Is that true, you think?
I
Ours
think
would
so.
say that. Yeah.
That's something my ex-husband actually said to me. He was
Right.
like, I'm okay with this, but if you were leaving to be with another man, then I would be really upset. I mean, not that he was okay. It really upset him. Thankfully he went to therapy. He did the work himself, and he found a new girlfriend. They're great. So I think all of those factors come into play. But
Right.
yes, I think it's an easier blow.
Well, it's a whole different thing. It's like, I don't know. If you never had strawberry ice cream, and then one day you tasted strawberry ice cream and you went, holy shit.
Shit, the strawberry's
This-
good.
This has never, ever, this has felt unlike any ice cream experience I've ever had.
Right.
And I want that ice cream experience again.
It's true.
Yes. And the feeling of feeling like you're not going to experience that ice cream for me, I was like, I felt like I wasn't going to live my life,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
And
with
that's
your life,
brave of
because-
you. That's brave of both of you, because there were so many people whose eyes would cast aspersions for some reason, extended family, in-laws,
It's true.
Absolutely.
kids not understanding. It's complicated,
So
but
complicated.
what you really need to pattern for your children is authenticity. And that's the only value that really rubs off, I think. When you're authentic, they learn to be authentic.
Yeah, it
I
was
absolutely agree.
A long process. I agree too. On that note,
I was going to say, before we go, I do have one question
Go.
for you that has weighed on my mind for a while. I was the biggest fan of Now and Then when I was in like middle school, high school. I've watched this movie
I
a
love
few
that
thousand
too,
times.
and a great soundtrack.
A great soundtrack,
Yeah.
wonderful movie. But I read somewhere that the character of Roberta was originally written to be a lesbian, but
True.
they tested.
true
Okay,
story.
that is true.
True
They
story.
tested it,
Okay.
and it
And
didn't
my
go
whole
well.
performance was playing Roberta as a lesbian. And because we ad-libbed, Rita and I love you, when she pushed the baby out to me, they felt that the audience would be confused that I was in love with Rita's character because I said, I love you. The baby came out. I caught the fake baby. We had tears in her eyes. I'm like, love you, but it was not like, I love you sexual,
Yeah.
but, and then I don't know who it was at the studio, or I don't know who it was, but it was all taken out. Any kind of, reference, or I don't know, but I mean, it was a long, long time ago.
That was a long time ago,
Right.
but I think that's like my Roman Empire. You know how there's that trend,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the men thing about the Roman
Yeah.
Empire.
And what do you
That
think
is my
the
Roman
female
Empire.
version is? What do you think of the female
Well, for
version?
me, it's Now and Then, and being like, what would
Oh.
my life be like
Oh,
if
yeah.
I had seen you,
Yes.
Roberta, develop into a lesbian,
wow.
and how
Yes.
lesbian, and how that would have impacted me and my coming out story.
Yeah.
Because I think it would have
It sounds like she might be
spoken
blaming
so much
you.
to me.
I hear
No,
I'm
in
kidding,
no
I'm
way.
kidding,
That's
I'm
out of
kidding, I'm
Rosie's hands
kidding.
entirely.
It wasn't up
But-
to Rosie.
Like
wasn't up to
Christina
Rosie.
Ricci too was like, I loved Christina Ricci, loved you growing
She's
up.
a great
so-
girl. She's really a wonderful young woman.
Wonderful
know.
casting in that movie.
Yeah,
Right.
it was great. Everyone's like, "You're going to do a sequel?" I'm like, "What could it be? Us in the nursing home, the four of us?
But wait,
That could
Rosie,
be funny,
were you gay
like Cocoon."
Were you
We would
gay
bring
when they
in-
were filming that Now and Then? Like
I've always been gay.
I know you've always been gay, but did they know it?
Everybody in Hollywood knew it. I always had a partner. Everyone knew. It's just nobody talked about it, even in the culture. When I was on my own show, I told them before I started that I was gay and that I didn't imagine coming out at the time in 1995. I had a baby. I didn't imagine ever. That was like, I was like, I don't really care. This is what I felt. If you're getting abused and you're an adult, go march on Washington. If you're a kid getting abused, you better hope that one of the kids who was you is going to drive you to the March on Washington, right? Somebody's got to speak for you if you're the kid who can't get out of that horrible situation. So that's what I always wanted to spend any kind of fame allotment that I had in terms of a cause was towards children. And that's what I did for a large part of my philanthropic life.
Yes.
And yeah.
Do you spend most of your time in California?
Yes. 3 years ago, we moved here because I got American Gigolo, that series, and it happened to be where the best school for neurodivergent kids like Dakota is.
Okay.
So we started here and she did great the first 2 years. This year has been bumpy. So we're hoping that things can settle down a little bit.
Yeah. I think with kids, it's always up and down, you know?
Yeah.
It does. Like you wait it out and then they end up all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, I got 4 big ones and I got a 28, 26, 24 and 22. Oh, no, 20, 23, 26, 28 and a 10.
Wow.
Isn't it fun though? Like my 20-year-old now, it's like so fun to be with, I mean, she's an adult and it's just like the conversation shift so much to it's just, I enjoy her. I enjoyed her when she was little. I missed that babyhood, but I enjoy being with her so much now as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. I have that
really,
too. You know, I mean, it's just that the need doesn't go away.
No.
For their mom ever, you know?
Yeah.
Nope.
And I never lived through that because I didn't have a mom after 10. So I never had to break away from my mother and develop myself separately because I didn't have that to do. So I never watched anyone do it. So when my son did it, who's 28, I flipped the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know, I made him go to therapy with me. I was sobbing, saying he used to go to the movies with me. He doesn't even talk to me. He doesn't even. At the end of the session, Parker said, "Do you have anything to say, son?" And he says, "Can you adjust her medication?"
Wow.
And it wasn't even a joke. That's what he wanted to go to say. She really needs different medication. And I was like, "You're probably right, honey. Do I need something else? Do I need a little antipsychotic or something?"
I mean, that is tough. It's like it's the slowest breakup you'll ever go through.
It's so true.
You know?
And the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if boys and girls, like our boy is 17, so he hasn't left the nest yet, but girls, like I would say at least once every other week, she calls me crying with some issue. The latest was they have mice. She's at an apartment in New York City where the super told her everybody here has mice. Like get used to it. And so
I was going to say, so what? What else? I thought you were going to tell me they infested the stove and she couldn't cook.
They are in the stove. What is the stove
that's what
thing?
happens.
They're in the stove.
Yes. That's what happens.
Man.
Then you can't use your stove and you have to get it professionally done.
This is what's happening now.
Yeah, that happens all over New York.
But she was doing it. She was fine for a while, but I think she's tired now because she's like, I'm not sleeping well because I can hear them. And so she's like starting to get emotional about it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's but I'm like, it's never too late to come home.
Nope.
So,
yeah, you got to do it at some point.
Oh man.
All right, Rosie. Well, we very much appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes, and I would love to promote your podcast. So send to me where I can listen to it, and then I'll put it up.
You're
Absolutely.
amazing. Rosie,
thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And carry on in your gayness, girls. It's okay to be gay.
Oh, we're pulling them all
Thank
out.
you.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Bye, Rosie.
All right.
Carry on. Bye-bye.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandallie@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Allie, ALLI, @gmail.com. or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.